All right, the next thing we're going to talk about today is how to name compounds that are called hydrates. Hydrates are ionic compounds that have water molecules attached. So the way that we indicate that is with this big dot. We have a formula for an ionic compound and then a big dot, which basically is telling us we're about to attach some water. And then in this case, in this particular first example, we've got 8 water molecules that are attached to this ionic compound. And here we have 6 water molecules attached. Here we have one water molecule attached, and so on. Okay, so anytime you see a big dot like this, and then water with a 1 or, well, either no number, which indicates 1, or a number, then we're talking about a compound that's called a hydrate. And so we want to learn how to name these. Well, we've already talked about how to name these ionic compounds. To name the hydrate, we're going to use the prefixes, the same prefixes that we used when we talked about covalent compounds. So if I have 8 water molecules attached, I'm going to use the prefix octa to mean 8. All right, so the way this works is we're going to name the compound, then we're going to use the prefix to tell how many waters, and just simply add the word hydrate at the end. So for CaCl2, we know the name of that compound is going to be calcium chloride. Calcium is in group 2. Calcium is a positive 2 always. That's the only charge calcium can ever have. So we do not need a Roman numeral for calcium. So when we've written calcium chloride, we're done with that part of the name. That is the name for that ionic compound. Now we have to do something about this 8 water molecules that are attached. So we're going to say calcium chloride octa, because we have 8, octahydrate. That's all there is to it. We're going to do one more. So first we're going to look at this compound here. We have a compound between iron and sulfate. Okay, iron is not in group 1. It's not in group 2. It's not on our little staircase of silver, cadmium, zinc, indium, gallium, and aluminum. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go back and watch a couple of videos to get a better understanding of that. All right, we're going to name this compound. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to write FeSO4. We know that's going to be iron. We know because iron is not in group 1, not in group 2, not silver, cadmium, zinc, indium, gallium, or aluminum, that we are going to need to include Roman numerals. We have to tell what the charge of the iron is in this compound. Sulfate is a -2, and we only have one sulfate. There's no parentheses with a number outside the parentheses, so we have one sulfate. So my total negative charge is going to be -2. That means my total positive charge is going to be +2. Because my compound is neutral, so -2 and +2 have to add up, or will add up to 0. Well, I only have one iron, therefore the iron has the entire positive charge of 2. So I'm going to put a Roman numeral 2 and then sulfate. Okay, so that was just a quick refresher on how we're going to name this ionic part of the hydrate. So we're going to call it iron, Roman numeral 2, iron 2, sulfate. But now we need to name the hydrate part of this. So we have 6 waters. The prefix for 6, remember, is hexa. So we're going to call it hexahydrate. All right, I've completed the first 2. You're going to complete the last 4. Now we'll do a couple of formulas from names. All right, so we have the name Barium phosphate dihydrate. Again, we already have learned the rules for how to write these ionic compounds. So if you're having trouble with that, you should go back and watch one of the several videos that are available that either I did or that are on YouTube that I've posted in order to help you with that. But barium is Ba. Barium has a positive 2 charge. Phosphate is PO4, has a negative 3 charge. We're going to crisscross those charges, and so what we're going to get is Ba3, and then we're going to need parentheses because we have 2 phosphates, and we want to indicate that. So here is the formula for barium phosphate right here. Now we need to include this information about the fact that it's a hydrate. So remember that the way we show it's a hydrate, we would put a big dot. Di means 2, so it's telling us we have 2 waters. All right, let's do one more. So let's look at copper 2 sulfate. So again, copper 2 sulfate is made of 2 parts, a copper 2 ion and a sulfate ion. Remember that the Roman numeral tells us the charge on the metal, and that metals always have positive charges. So if I see copper Roman numeral 2, that's telling me I have a copper 2 plus ion. Sulfate is SO4, it's 2 minus. Compounds have to be neutral. 2 plus and 2 minus add up to 0. This is neutral as is, so I don't have to do any swapping. I can just write CuSO4. But now I need to include this information about the hydrate. So I'm going to put my big dot right there. And I'm going to say penta is the prefix for the number 5. 5 waters are attached. All right, so again, I've done 2 examples, and you've got 4 examples left on this sheet. So your homework on sulfates is to complete the ionic hydrate worksheet, take a picture of your completed work, and upload it into Google Classroom.